Hello and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show. My name is Avrum Rosensweig. On October the 7th, 2023, we all know where we were. It's one of those days that will be marked in infamy in our schedules forever. Yair Mozes, my guest today, obviously knows exactly where he was because it was on that date that his father, Gadi, was taken hostage by Hamas. So I want to welcome Yair, whom I have spoken with a couple times before, and I'm very, very grateful that you're joining us today. How are you, Yair?
Thank you for having me. I'm okay today. I can finally smile from inside my heart, not just from my face.
Nicely said. I'd like to give a little bit of a background on your father so people have a context of what we're speaking about today. Gadi Mozes was a hostage in Gaza held by Hamas terrorists. He was abducted on October 7, 2023 from Kibbutz Nir Oz when his wife, Efrat Katz, was murdered on that day in their home. He was held hostage for 482 days, and while as a hostage, he was alone all the time. Every single day, he would pace 7 kilometers in his 2-square-meter room and counted the tiles on the room floor and solving math problems to pass the time and keep his mind sharp. His glasses were broken during the kidnapping, but after 2 months, he managed to get another pair from his captors and was able to read 2 books. Once every 5 days or so, Moses was given a bowl of tepid water to shower with, using a cup to pour the water over his head. He insisted on shaving, despite it being a messy and painful affair, as it was important to him not to neglect himself. Moses lost 15 kilograms in captivity. According to the network, on January 30th, 2025, Gadi was reunited with his children, Oded, Moran, and Yair, at an IDF facility near Re'im after a mob scene in Khan Yunis in which Gadi thought he would be lynched. Yair is our guest today. Yair, I'd just like to show a clip of when you and your siblings were reunited with your father.
Okay.
עוזר ככל יכולתי לשקם את ניר עוז. אבא, שב. אבא שלנו. בוא תשב מאמי. אבא. שמעתי פעם את אמא שלכם מדברת ברדיו.
Yair, can you tell us what that moment was like?
Oh, it was an amazing moment. Pure happiness, pure relief that we can see him, that he is okay. We were very, very worried about his physical condition for such a long time. A man of his age, in a couple of weeks, he will be 81 years old. So we were very, very worried. And to see him standing on his feet, you heard my sister tell him, sit, because we were so worried that he's getting up and he's too tired, too exhausted, too whatever it can be. So we were very worried, and to see him standing by himself on his feet was a great relief and a lot of joy.
Even the few minutes leading up to that reunification, what was that like for you? What were you feeling in your heart? What were you thinking in your mind?
That he's with us finally, after all this struggle for 14 months that we didn't know anything about him. We had only one sign of life from December 23, a video that was released by the terrorists. And beside that, we had nothing. All through 2024, we didn't know anything about him. We didn't know if he's alive even. We didn't know which condition he's been held. We didn't know anything. So to see him with us after all this long time was amazing. Was something where we waited so much, and we were so happy to be in this moment.
When you sat together with him in that moment, together with your siblings, were there questions asked between you? Were there things said, or did you just clutch one another and just the emotions poured out?
Yes, we talked. We talked together. He told us. He began to tell us what happened to him, what he was. We told him how much we worried about him and waited for him and everything about this time. He asked me about this beard. Why do I have this beard? And I just told him, I'm waiting for you to come. My life stopped on October 27, 2023, and now they can continue. And I told everyone, one day after you'll be back, I will shave it. And as you all know, the following day he started shaving it, and then all my family joined to this party to remove this all this beard and hair.
What did your father say about the beard itself? I know he asked you why. Was he intrigued by it? Was he proud of you?
He was proud about the act that I did, that to show that it was a very visible symbol to what we are experiencing, to the suffer, to the burden. People ask me why I'm not shaving. I said it's part of my burden. To It's the same like we went with this dog tag that we were wearing and everything. It was our burden to bring everyone back, and we dedicated to it. And this is a way for me to show my dedication for it, for me myself and for the outside.
It's not a simple thing, is it? I've had longer beards and they can be difficult and challenging in terms of eating. Not simple to have such a big beard.
No, not at all. And I didn't touch it, didn't cut anything on it. It was very it was very hard to eat soup, to eat something with sauce on it. But yeah, after each bite, you clean your beard and you continue. But if I hoped this was the last of our worries, but it wasn't. So yeah, it was hard to manage, but we make it.
Right. So you had this reunification. How long did all of you sit together before you went home? And then what was the process after that moment, after that day, in terms of bringing your father home?
We've been there for about between half an hour talking. I don't know, remember the exact time. And then we went to the helicopter that took us to the hospital. Over there, it was over there before he saw us. They had the very primary exam to see that physically is okay. But when he arrived at the hospital, there have been some more checks and everything to see that he is okay. They asked about how much he ate and many other questions. He lost, like you said, 15 kilograms. So to see that he's okay from that manner. And after a week, when we saw that everything is okay, we left the hospital, and now he's in a house, not in his home, because in Nir Oz people cannot live yet, but he's with the family now, and we are around him all the time.
Well, we've read a lot about the process of taking care of former hostages. It's actually very sophisticated. What the medical industry has done, what the hospitals have done, the doctors. Can you give us a sense of what happened within the time that he was in the hospital and how they took care of him? Was it something to see? Was it amazing?
Yeah, it was amazing to see, because you're in a hospital, but it's like you're not feeling like someone who's sick is go to the hospital. They arranged the place when we were to feel very hospitalized, and all the time people were very nice and very helpful, and whatever we needed, they took care of us. And for example, if something was needed, even on Saturday, when usually the doctor not coming, someone came to treat him, and it was very nice and very warming to see that all the people around us are very welcoming and supporting us.
And about yourself, once your father had come home, I can only speculate on the relief that you must have felt. I can only speculate. It's the idea of a loved one being incarcerated in such difficult environment. It must have weighed so heavily up on you. Was there a moment, Yair, that you took to yourself, went outside and looked up in the sky and said, "Oh, thank you," or whatever your spiritual predilection was. How did you respond personally, privately, once your father had come home?
Yeah, I think that I cannot say exactly when it was, but yes, I think the moment that we saw him on the TV, that is, we know that he's with the IDF, because like you said, the part that he was transferred between Hamas and the Red Cross was awful. It was so terrifying. My father said it was the most terrifying thing that happened to him during all the period of the captivity, even from the day they took him from Nir Oz. He thought that the Hamas is going to lose control and the mob is going to kill him. He was sure it's going to happen. He was terrified. And after that, when he arrived, when Red Cross transferred him to IDF, and then we saw it also in live, and we saw him there. Then we allowed ourselves to relief, and knowing that he's with us again, and he looked standing on his feet, and something that we were worried. We all the time said that we know that he's a very special man and that he's mentally a very strong man, but we worried about his physical condition, and he came back, and even better than I allowed myself in my wildest dreams.
What was the communication between you and your siblings like with your father in terms of the information of his 482 days and what he went through? Did it pour out of him? While you were
Yes,
sitting there talking, Yair,
immediately. Yeah, immediately when we arrived to the hospital, we talked, and he told us, and he told the story, whatever, all the time. When people come back after something like this, you don't need to encourage them. You need to let them talk about in their pace. But my father, from the first day, told us the stories, and all the guests that came to visit him in the hospital, and later at home, he's telling the stories and everything, and it's helped him also to heal.
what was it like for you when he would share all that information with you? Was it at a speed that you were comfortable with?
Yeah, yeah, of course. It shows that he's very his mind is set very good. That he's okay, and he allowing himself to share the stories, and like I said, it's helped him to heal. So it was a very good thing. We did No one pushed him to tell the stories. He feel that it came from himself, and it's a very good. Like everyone said, that all the experts that we talked to before and during, saying that it's very good that the person is allowing himself to share his experience.
Yeah, I can only guess what your feelings were having to do with your father's incarceration when he told you the stories of pacing, walking 7 kilometers every single day in a 2 meter square cell, essentially, and all of the difficult and terrible things that happened to him. Did anger well up inside of you, or what were your feelings?
No, we didn't have anger at this point. It's just happiness that is with us. I don't allow myself currently to be angry. And we know it's terrible what happened, and we're trying to deal with it. And first, we need to make sure that everyone will be back. And still, there are many hostages back in Gaza. My parents, my father is here with us, but all the hostages, we are now one family. And it's, for me, until everyone will be back, it's not over. You see, I'm now wearing shirts of others, that they Kunyu brothers, but it's just because I think it must continue. We cannot stop. Said, okay, my father is back, and I can go back to my life. Of course, I think all Israel, but especially the families of the hostages. We're now another. I have more family members, and I need to take care of them. And I think the fact that we are there is helping a lot to see that they get support, and we must continue push everyone until all of them will be back.
Yes, and I would like to mention that today, 4 hostages were returned, unfortunately, who were killed in captivity. It's El Garet at 69 years old, Ohad Yahalomi at 49, Shlomo Mansour at 85, and Sahi Idan, who was 49 years old. So just clarify for me, you did not have feelings of revenge at any of those moments?
Currently not. I'm not thinking about revenge. I'm just thinking that we need to do whatever it takes to bring everyone back. Then we'll have to decide what we're doing, what will going to be in Gaza later, to make sure that everything. But currently, I must be focused on doing whatever we can and pushing whoever we can in order to make sure this agreement will continue and all of them will be back because time is essential. We don't have time for them, and we heard what happened to the hostages and how they are treated, and we saw they are starved. Some of them are even starved, and we know there is enough food in Gaza now. It's not at the first day of the war that maybe there was no food, so we need to make sure this suffering ends and they're back.
Your father's wife, Efrat Katz, was murdered on October 7th in their home. Had he known that she had died?
Yeah, he knew it because he had from time to time they allowed him to to hear radio from Israel, and one of the time he opened the radio, he heard it was exactly after some of the brief about how she died, and he managed to hear that she's dead. So he was very sad for a few days, but he decided that he need to focus about surviving and focus about understanding it might take time from one side, but hoping that he will be back from the other side. And the way to balance between these two, this is, I think, one of the way that help him to survive all this time.
You know, your father, we've talked about him before. He seems like a really a phenomenal human being, both in terms of how he deals with life and how he thinks about things. I remember you telling me stories about he teaching other people about farming and working together with children. I had a picture up there of your dad with who would that child be?
Oh, I can't see it. It's hard. I think it's one of Efrat's granddaughters.
Okay. And what's so interesting about your father and his way in life is that he told his captors that one day when there's peace, that he will come back and he will teach them farming. Did that surprise you?
I think it's something that was taken out of context. He told them that between the conversation and a way of keeping himself that if there was peace, he would come to teach them to have better agriculture if they wanted it was, but it's part of a bigger conversation that he told them the fact that you don't want peace, the fact that you want just to kill us and everything is also disturbing you because if you wanted to have peace, if you wanted to live together next to us, I could come and teach you how to have better agriculture and better life because this is something he believed it. But it didn't come as once there will be peace, I will come. No, now there is no chance that he will come to do it for them after what they did him because now we know he's held in houses of families and it's not that we know that there are many civilians that are involved. There are not many uninvolved civilians like the Palestinians said. So they are involved, and we saw in the terrible day when they returned the coffins and all the children around cheering and everything. So it's very hard to believe and to trust them at the moment. And what he said to them is that if you wanted to have peace with us and if you wanted to live next to us, I could come and I'll help you. But in this way, there is no way that he will go and help them.
Yair, how did your siblings respond to your father's return?
We are all very joyful. We're still around him all the time, taking care of him, making sure that he have everything he needs and all his medical needs and his personal things and everything. And we're just happy that he's with us and around him all the time. We make sure one of us is with him all the time. And he said, "You don't need to watch me." And we said, "We don't want to watch you. We just want to be with you."
Yeah.
So we are around him all the time and hugging him and kissing him and happy that he's with us.
Is your father an affectionate man?
Very, yes.
Yeah, I noticed when all of you met in that clip that I showed, they were also effusive, so loving, just so present.
Yes.
It was beautiful to watch. I want to talk a little bit about what he experienced in Gaza. I think that the headlines were correct, and everybody was really taken by the fact that your father had a regiment that he followed every single day in terms of pacing in that very small cell, to accomplish an exercise regimen of 7 kilometers a day. He made sure that he would shave despite the fact that it was difficult and it was painful. Was that surprising to you at all that your father was so regimented?
No, because like I said, he was focused about surviving. And he said, this is what I need to do. I need to exercise. There is nothing to do. If I'll sit all day, I will think about how bad is my situation. And the fact that he was walking, so while he was walking and counting how much he walked and everything, it's helping to distract his mind from this, for example. And whatever he did there, and the shaving, he always keep to be shaving. If he's coming to visit us and he's not shaving, he feel bad about it. Oh, I didn't get to shave before I came. And
Right.
it's what helped him to feel human, to feel alive. And he did more things like this that help him to feel that he's there and he's must survive and do whatever he can to body and mind to survive this.
What about the mathematical equations that were spoken about? Is your father a student of mathematics?
No, it just what we meant is, for example, to calculate how much he's walking, he used the Pythagoras in order to calculate the length of the part that he's walking and thing like this. It's not like he just invented the algorithm and thing like this. He used the what he know. For example, one of the things that he did in one of the houses that he was kept, there was a window but he didn't know the time. And he noticed that the shadow of a tree outside the window was moving around the wall. So each time someone came inside, they asked him what the time, and he marked it on the wall. And this way, he make himself like a sun, something from the sun to know what the time is. So the next day, if he showed the shade in the place, he knew more or less what the time of the day it is.
What did he tell you about eating while he was a hostage?
He received food, not a lot, but he received food, and he ate with his captor most of the time. And he received some food, not very. It was a pita bread with hummus or hummus with pita bread and things like this. But he managed to receive some food. Like I said, he did lost a lot of weight, but it was not. We cannot say that he was starved like others that we saw that came in so bad conditions.
Now, did he see other hostages throughout that 482 days?
No, he was by himself. Only about 2 months before he released, he saw 2 Thai prisoners, hostages, and the first Israeli person he met was Arbel the night before they were released. That the video that all the world saw.
I personally wonder to myself is how would I be isolated for that amount of time? The quiet, the inability to interact with other people. How did your father master that? How did he figure out how to be alone to that extent? Did it surprise you at all?
Yeah, of course it's a surprise. But yeah, he managed to do it. I don't know how he did it. I cannot really explain it yet, but he managed to isolate himself a bit and understand his situation and think positive things that he must survive and must hold on and that one day he will be released.
Well, is your father a believer in God? Is he a religious man? Did that play out in his isolation?
No, it wasn't. It's not part of his life, and it wasn't. No.
And is that similar with you and your siblings?
Yes, we're the same. We're not religious, and my position to religious hasn't changed in either direction.
Right. As I mentioned before, there were 4 bodies that were returned today, and there are still hostages in Gaza, and there's 59 hostages. We're hoping at least 24 are alive. Does your father speak about the challenge and the fight of getting them all back?
Of course, he wants to be part of it. He's trying to do whatever he can in order to support this and Actually, it's more that we hold him from not going to the rallies and everything. We're still watching him, and we want him for ourselves no more. But he wants to be part of it, and of course, just for the community of Nir Oz, we still have 14 people even today. Itzik and Ohad were from Nir Oz, and it again another very, very sad day for us. And yesterday and the day before, we buried people from Nir Oz, the Dead Lipschitz and the Bibas family. They're also from Nir Oz, and it's a very, very tragic week for us. But we still have 14 people from our community between all the hostages, and the community and all Israel need everyone to be back in order to be able to continue forward.
I just want to post a picture of the Bibas family here, just for a moment. In a couple of previous shows, we dedicated the show to them, and I'd like to do that today as well.
Yeah,
Was your father
it was a
close?
very, very. I don't know how much he was close to them, but it's part of your community, and even someone that is not close to you, you're very, very sad. The funeral yesterday was a very sad thing to watch, to understand. But from the other hand, you saw all the people in Israel, all around all along the way they drove back to the cemetery, that were around them and supporting the family, and this was amazing to see. And we know that they were buried together, like they were kidnapped together, Shiri and the kids. And it's a very, very sad story, and we're trying to do whatever we can to support the family. Of course, in any manner that will be, we will support them.
How was your dad yesterday?
It was a very tough day. We didn't go to this funeral. We went to the funeral the day before, and it was for the Lipschitz, which is member of Nir Oz, and he's known him all the years, in more than 60 years. And we decided not to go because it was too hard to be there.
Does the community generally let your father be? Do they let the people who were hostages develop and have their, time and space? Or if you were to go out, would everybody hover around him?
Well, if we go outside and in cities or something, people will recognize and come and shake his hands, maybe want to hug him. But all the people, of course, part of the community because they know him and he's part of the community, and they're very happy that he's back. And all the people in Israel, after such a long time, feeling part of the family now. So this is why one of the thing that we're still watching him and not going out too much outside with him, because we think that it will be too much for him, all the people around him all the time. But we know it from the other end, it's come from love and caring and not from any other manner. So it's if it's in a decent way, it's acceptable, and we allow it, of course.
Yair, how does your father spend his days now?
Meeting people. He has a full schedule between some tests we need to do and some physiotherapy. We manage like a schedule for him to meet all the people, all his friends. He called many to them to talk to them, and he called him, and he just meet people as much as possible, as much as we can to see all his friends. We try to limit the amount of people that come every time, so not to be too much on him, and also to allow each one that comes to get the attention and hear it normally.
So your father has regained his strength? He's able to sit with his friends?
Yes, he can. Yes.
Is he eating well?
Yes, he's eating well, and he's physically is pretty much okay. Not everything is completely okay. He cannot run the marathon tomorrow, but he's okay.
And what about mentally? Is he present, or does he sometimes look off into the sky?
He's so focused and so present that it's impossible to understand it, how much focus and present he is.
What's that like to see that in your father for you?
It's amazing to see that someone has these strengths and these abilities. And I hope I will have it all my life. I hope I'll never get to be in a situation like he was. But to understand that someone can be strong in time of trouble, and watching himself to make sure that he's focused on everything, it's amazing to see.
I know there's little children in your family. He has grandchildren, and he's an amazing grandfather, Saba.
Yes,
What
yes.
were the little kids like when they saw Gadi had returned?
They were very happy to see him. They were asking about him every day when he's coming back, what about him and everything. And and they were so happy to see him and be around him because most of the little children are actually Efrat grandchildren because our kids,
Yeah.
me and my siblings' kids, no, my sister also have small kids and they were of course very happy to see him too. But for my father, all of them are like his grandchildren, even Efrat grandchildren, and we are very very happy that. And they are very happy to see that he's back and to be with him and spend time with him. And they're calling him to ask how he is and everything. So yes, very
What
everyone is
was
very happy.
what was he like when the little kids came around? Was he highly emotional?
Yes, very very emotional. Very happy to see all of them. We came back. He came back on Thursday. On Friday morning, all his grandkids came to visit him, and it was very emotional and very happy moment to see.
It must have been incredible. What role is your family playing in the current situation in Israel in terms of fighting for all the hostages to come back?
We participate in rallies, we go to interviews, we do whatever we can to support them and shout also for them because, like I said, my father is back, but it's not ended. The story is not ended, and they are our family now, and we need to support them, be with them until everyone will be back.
Is your father satisfied with the ceasefire?
He's like I said, he also like us. He's focused that first we need everyone to be back. So he's mean this ceasefire and continue and take to that people will be back. Yes, we need to bring them back. After everyone will be back, we need to see whatever need to be done in order to make sure this will never happen. But first, everyone must be back.
So for you, I'm going to guess there were different phases to what you wanted to accomplish. And I must tell you, Yair, that you did an outstanding job as a son
Thank you.
in terms of your profile. I'm going to guess, and tell me if I'm correct, being in front of the camera is not your favorite thing. Am I right about that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I never thought I'll be in front of the camera. I never thought I'll be interviewing in Israel and around the world, but we had to do it. And this is why I continue to do it, because even today I continue to interview. And if it wasn't for the other hostages, I wouldn't do it.
You
It's
know,
just the interest about my father. I know the public want to hear about him, but for me, it's just a reason to come and talk about the need to release all the hostages.
you know, and Yair, the phenomenal thing about you is that you did specific things in order to get through this, right? Little things that probably encourage you every single day, as we spoke about before, in terms of growing your enormous beard. Why did you think about that? I'm going to grow a beard until my father comes home. What was the thinking behind that?
It's not something that I just decided one day. You know, on the first week or two, it was so chaotic that I didn't know what to do, and I didn't shave. I didn't think about shaving, and then slowly, I decided to not to shave. At the beginning, I didn't know exactly what it is. Someone asked me, "Is this the part of the grief?" You know, people that don't shave 30 days, and the Jewish that don't shave 30 days after someone has died. And I said no, because my parents are still alive. It's not the grief or something like this. And I at the beginning I didn't know exactly how to call it. And after some time I managed to understand it in my mind that this is like to show that my last stop and I cannot continue with my life. I to remind you I didn't work, I just all I did is working for releasing my father.
And, and finally, when your father came home and you decided, okay, now I can shave my beard off. What was it like sitting there and being shaved?
It was amazing. It
Was
was
it?
so, yeah, it was amazing. It was very emotional, very amazing that he did it for me. Yeah, it was very,
Was your father, was he talking to
sorry.
you while he was shaving you?
Well, everyone went around. It did something that we took the picture and everyone went around. And after he started, my wife joined and then my kids joined it. And because everyone suffered from this beard, not just me.
That's a good way of saying it.
Some people said this is the humanitarian thing that my beard is the humanitarian problem that need to be resolved as soon as possible.
And how are your wife and children?
They're okay now. It was also hard for all of us, but they're okay now.
How were you as a husband and dad throughout this whole ordeal?
I did my best. It was a time. I sometimes went outside. I went to outside Israel 10 times during the time from delegation and things like this. So I wasn't there all the time, but I tried to do my best in order to keep being with my family. And my family supported this and understood it. It's not just they disappeared for them. They knew how important what I'm doing and what it is. But I tried to whenever I could, I was home, and even in day that I was all day outside, I came in the evening and afternoon to be with my family.
Yair, how did you explain to your children what was happening in your life and that your father was taken?
I think they understood it. They're big enough. My youngest he was 13 when it happened, and they just understood it. I don't think there was a need to explain them that what is happening. They
Yeah.
knew I'm fighting for the grandfather, and they understood it.
I live here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we have a very particular mindset about how we deal with life and the tragedies and the difficult situations. Canada, for all intents and purposes, has mostly been a pretty peaceful nation. So we're not challenged by these very, very difficult things. And I am absolutely amazed, and I have so much respect for how Israelis deal with the hostage situations and state of war. I must tell you that uh, your strength is so inspiring to us. Do you see that within yourself, Yair? Do you see that you're a strong man?
I think I am, yes. I think it is. I discovered it, and maybe I didn't know it for sure because I never had to deal with such a situation in the past. But yeah, I found strength, and when people ask me, where do you have the strength from? And said, I don't see another option. I must continue to fight for my father and for all the others. So it wasn't never even a doubt for me that meaning must continue, and you find the powers to do it. You don't have any other option.
Right, right. So within that light, is Yair Moses different today, a different person today than he was on October 6th, 2023?
Yes, for sure,
And how
for
so?
sure.
How so?
Um, I think I found myself that I can talk to people a lot. I was just interview. I used to talk to crowds and tell the story and tell about my father. And this is something I never did before to talk to the crowd. I discovered strengths in me that I didn't know that I have, and I didn't get the time even to write all the full list for me. But for sure, I'm a change man.
Have you added anything to your life because of your father's situation? We heard from a lot of hostages that they started saying Havdalah when they were in captivity. Was there any aspect of your life that you've shifted,
No,
that you've changed
no,
at all?
no. For me, it's my life is the same. Yes,
Okay.
it's the same.
So where do we go from here then? Now that your father is home, will he get back into the fields? Will he begin farming again?
I don't know if he'll be farming. Like I said, he's 81, but he for sure will be involved in a way to rebuild Nir Oz and make sure this will be again the great place it was before.
And yourself, will you go back to work?
Yeah, I guess sometime soon I'll have to go back to work.
Yeah, what was it like for you to be out of work all that time?
Um, it's not that I was like a home unemployed. I was very, very busy, and lucky for me, I work in an amazing place, Tevron Pharmaceuticals, that backed me up all this time and took care of me, and it was amazing by their side. It's very not obvious that they did it, and I believe soon I'll be back to work again and then go back to the office.
Yesterday or 2 days ago, I think 200 CEOs of companies in Israel said to their employees, anybody and everybody can come in late to work. if you choose to go to the Biba's funeral.
Yes.
And you know what? That's so reflective of the entire country, Medinat Yisrael, being involved in this situation and people being gracious to one another. Is there still that sense? Is there still that feeling in Israel of unity, of kindness, of generosity, one toward the other?
Most of the time, yes, but sometimes we still encounter people that says other things, and not always. Unfortunately, it's not always, and still some people are still dividing and everything and trying to find how to divide between people. But most of the people, especially in the days like this, are united together with the grief and the sadness and with the happiness when people are coming. And we will try also to make sure that we'll go back to this and not to being divided by others to different parties.
And externally, is there a sense within your family that one day there might be peace with our enemies?
I still hope for it, but it's getting harder and harder to believe in it. It's they don't want it, so we cannot also want it too, because it's currently it doesn't seem they want it, and still until they will want it, we need to make sure that they will not be able to harm us like they did or in any other way. But first, they need to choose peace and not war.
And before October 7th, did you believe there was a possibility for peace?
Yeah, I believed it. I hoped for it. I strived for it, and now it's getting very, very hard to believe in it.
Right. I want to thank you very much both for this interview and previous ones that we've done together. And I want to reiterate the idea that it's hard for us to know the impact that we have on others or on life, on our community. But I will tell you, Dugri, like they say, straight,
Yes.
that your inspiration has been huge for all of us. And every time you and I talk, I walk away and I am so impressed by your humanity, by your love, by your strength, and of course that of your father and all of your siblings and families. So I really, really want to take this moment to thank you, Yair, for being you, for just being you, really, just being you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've done an outstanding job.
Thank you very much.
I would ask you too, if you could send regards to your father, send him our love and tell him that we're all thinking about him. And we also are very, very grateful for his strength and for his courage. The stories that are coming out of your father's captivity and what he did in order to survive, in many ways, it's the story of the Jewish people. It's our history. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, just
yes,
absolutely.
I agree.
Incredible. Yair Mozes, thank you so much for being with me once again today. And I wish you well. I wish your family well. Yisrael Chai, as they say. And we look forward to being together again. Sei gesund, be well until we meet again.
Thank you very much.